I'm concerned about the lack of understanding that people have about the implementation of things like a digital currency that is centralized, that's controlled by the government.
Right.
That scares the shit out of me.
Absolutely.
Because that's what and Maxine Waters, who has been promoting this, said that we need this to compete with China, which is so crazy.
Yeah.
It's like saying we need communism to compete with communism.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's what it is.
Yeah.
If you want to compete with communists, you have to be a communist. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, digital currency that's centralized by the state is terrifying because they'll connect it to a social credit score system.
Yeah.
If they connect it to a social credit score system, Tulsi Gabbard, I don't like what you said on the Joe Rogan Experience. We're going to go and eliminate your ability to fly.
Right.
You can't fly. You can't travel. You can't buy gas anymore.
Yep.
Which is what they do in China.
It's all within the realm of possibility.
What we do know is that central bank digital currencies are certainly coming. We saw the president of the European Central Bank, Christine Lagarde, she was talking about them coming this week, even in the US. Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, was also talking about the lack of anonymity that a central bank digital currency would have. And we also know earlier this year at Davos, they were talking about the tyrannical nature of a central bank digital currency, and that a new Bill of Rights, something sort of to that effect, would have to be drawn up to ensure that people's rights and liberties aren't impinged on.
We had the CEO of one of the largest Dutch banks say, why don't we start with a personal carbon credit?
Oh.
A carbon wallet, she called it, actually. Yeah. So right in line with the plans that the World Economic Forum people have for us. And she said it in a way that was particularly funny. She said, well, if everyone gets an individual personal carbon credit, why don't we make it so that rich people who, for example, want to go on holiday a little too often can buy personal carbon credit from other people who, for example, can't afford buying plane tickets or eating meat too often. So we can that way swap it out.
They're going to introduce CBDCs. Now, for you at home who doesn't know what a CBDC is, it's very simple. It's a centralized digital banking currency, centralized bank digital currency. And what it's going to do, it's going to allow them to have absolute control of the money so they can control it with a time limit. One, forcing you to spend it or not allowing you to spend it. Two, they can control it geographically. And three, they can control what you can and can't buy.
No meat, no gas.
Yeah, you can't buy meat, you can't buy gas. Oh, you can't travel to this area. Well, you can't buy a train ticket to this area because there's a protest over there. We don't want you to protest. They're going to control you. They're going to get you by the bank strings, and they're going to strangle you.
It sounds like the end of human rights, the end of personal autonomy, and the idea of a carbon allowance. That essentially rations the number of flights we can take every year, possibly how much we drive our car, or if we own a car. It might even be that we can only have steak once a week. This is the extreme outlook if we are slaves to these digital currencies.
You have to think about your life being controlled to the point where your bank and your money and your social media and your passport number and everything is linked together to the point where the second you say something wrong on Facebook, there's a repercussion. So whether your passport can be used, whether your bank is open.
So you mean central digital currencies are all linked to this?
CBDCs, exactly.
Fucking scare me, they do.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, that's right.
CBDCs
is perfect. Once they have absolute control of the money and they can decide how and when and where you can spend it.
And track it.
Then you're fucked.
Yeah.
You're fucked.
And let's talk about who wants this. Who's pushing for a cashless society? Is it our government? Is it other governments? Or is it an unelected elite?
Well, I believe it is the unelected elite, which is in control of all governments. So the World Economic Forum are talking about actually bringing out a carbon allowance. So each individual in this world will be given a carbon allowance, which means there's a certain amount of carbon that they are allowed to emit.
Because what they're going to do is they're going to come along with carbon credits. Here's what they're going to do. They're going to come along and say, listen, everyone at home, we've discovered the sun is hot. So for that reason, we need to increase your taxes to save the world. If you work harder and give us more of your money, we can stop the sun from being hot. Ask the little girl with the weird face, Greta. That's what we're gonna do. So, you have to buy carbon credits. You're not allowed to use carbon anymore. Carbon's bad. So that means you're not allowed to drive your car, you're not allowed to fly anywhere, and you're not allowed to eat meat.
Absolutely. It's really concerning. And again, I always like to look back to what happened over the last 2 years. They literally limited how much time we were allowed to spend with our loved ones. We weren't allowed to go into hospital to see, elderly family that were dying and that were sick. So to think that they wouldn't limit what we're allowed to spend on certain items would simply be naive.
The digital euro is on the move. Yesterday, The Governing Council of the ECB approved the opening of the preparation phase. It will be a journey, and we will walk the journey together with the legislator. All European institutions will be involved to make sure that Europe is equipped with the currency of the future. Cash is here to stay. You will have all options, cash and digital cash. So what does it mean for you? For consumers, it would be free and easy to use everywhere in the euro area. All of that, of course, is subject to the legislative process. Cash or digital, the choice will be yours. Your euro, your choice.
Quick question. This woman who's deciding how, I don't know, all of the money in Europe works.
Yeah.
Did you vote for her?
Can you vote for her?
Who is this chick? Hello. We are going to make all of the money controlled by us. Don't worry. We'll work within the law which we make.
We are the money kings.
Don't worry. You'll have the choice for old money and new money at the beginning till we take the old money away. And we're going to do it within the law, which we write. Don't worry. You've never voted for me. The fuck is this? Bro, it is so over for the world. I don't want to be pessimistic, but it's done.
G7 is launching a set of public policy principles for retail central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. Central bank digital currencies could be a digital version of money, a bit like a digital banknote that could be used alongside physical notes and coins. Unlike most of the digital money people use daily today, it would be issued directly by a central bank, like the Bank of England in the UK. And governments and central banks across the world are working together, looking into what having a digital currency might mean in practice.
Intention is bankrupting you and starving you. That is their intention. So that once all the money's messed up, they can come along with this new money, which they completely control, and they can confine you in an area because of the sun being too hot, so that you're easy to exterminate and kill.
If you don't spend, let's say, 10% of your current savings, what you have sitting in the bank, in the next 3 months, that money is going to expire. And that's pretty awful. It means, you can't build long-lasting generational wealth. It means you're forever a slave to the 9 to 5.
Because I told you and you didn't do anything. You need to get rich now. I don't know how else to put it in simple language. You need to panic, stop sleeping, feel nervous, get worried, and get rich now. Before the schism is so large in the universe that the wormhole closes and brokies cannot escape perpetual and never-ending slavery for their entire dynasty of their bloodline.
You're about to be banished to the Shadow Realm for eternity. I hope you realize that. I've escaped the banishment.
Your great-grandchildren will talk about the year 2023 when it was still possible to escape, and they'll say, which one of our ancestors was alive? Oh yeah, him. Why didn't he get out? Ah, he was busy. He was busy.
I just checked his Facebook account, and he was at a festival.
Yay! You have shit to do. What do you mean festival? You have things to do. You have to escape slavery.